Hey guys, today I wanted to talk to you about change, resistance to change, and also secondary gain. So, there's really beautiful old sayings that go, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And human beings want change. We crave change. We want better. But sometimes we get stuck in that whole better the devil we know. And on top of wanting change, we can also fear change because what does it mean? What does it look like? What if I can't handle it? What if I'm not worthy? Whatever story or narrative that you're running around change, I want you to start checking in with it because it's a pretty powerful place to start. Change is inevitable. Let's just go there first. Change is inevitable. Where you are right now will change. 100%, it will happen. So whatever it is that you're going through right now, also remember that it's going to change. You're not stuck. You're not a tree. You can up and move. But if you find yourself resistant to change, I think it's a really important area to check in with yourself and be really almost brutally honest and ask yourself why. What are you resisting? What's the fear? What's the concern? What's the issue? What is holding you back? Be really honest with yourself because nobody else is in your inner dialogue other than you. So you get to check in. What beliefs, what mindsets, what limitations are holding you back? Be really honest with yourself. It's the only way you're going to move out of it if you find yourself up against yourself and having a resistance to change. Because as I said, change is inevitable. We live on the earth, a giant rock that spins around a flaming ball of fire, otherwise known as the sun. So the illusion of control that we have with trying to stay rigid should almost dissipate because change is inevitable. But if you are coming up against yourself with the resistance to change, maybe this is a really good journaling option or opportunity. Check in. What's going on there? And what do I mean by secondary gain? Now, this is where when you're really honest with yourself and starting to connect to what is behind your resistance to change. They say that if you don't have a dream, you'll have a crisis. And while I agree, I also disagree with that to a degree. It's a lot of degrees. But if you don't have a dream that's bigger than the current crisis or thing that you're going through, you have nothing that's pulling you towards. So we have energies. We have an away from energy or a towards energy. And if we're moving away from something, well, that's quite negative. That's a pull instead of a drawing. So what is it that you want more than the crisis that you're experiencing, more than the resistance to change? That can be another area that you can check in with yourself. What do you want more than the crap that you're going through? Be really honest with yourself. The only person that you hurt if you don't is you. Secondary gain is the piece to connect to as well, because if you gain something from being stuck in your crisis, if you gain something that you're afraid of losing by letting go and stepping into a new chapter of life, you're going to have resistance to change. So check in. Is there a secondary gain? I'll use an old client of mine, for example, because he had some resistance to healing because he was on compensation for what he was experiencing. And if he healed, he was no longer getting paid, right? So then he would have to step into a new chapter of life. So there was a level of not wanting to heal because if he did, then he would no longer be getting this compensation money. There's no judgment with it. I really want you to note this. If there's a secondary gain that comes through, please don't judge yourself from it. You're human and we all have stuff that we have to work through. But check in. Are you actually gaining something from being stuck, from being in pain, from being in a crisis. These are just a few things to start looking at. Obviously, we can go down a lot of different rabbit holes in relation to having a resistance to change, but those are a couple places to start. So I want to hear from you on this one. Do you have a resistance to change? Do you have a secondary gain that you're afraid of losing if you were to heal and move past the stuff that's holding you back? And what about change is scary? Let me know. Comment in or DM me, and I'll speak with you all again soon.